everybody. Welcome back to the Awesome Life podcast. I'm Karen Stultz, your host. And today, my guest is an amazing woman. You notice I didn't say awesome. That is coming, believe me, because all my guests are awesome. There's no question about it. But I thought I'd change it up a little bit. It's the beginning of a new year, so we're changing things up a little bit. And Ell Graniel is absolutely an amazing, awesome person. And I just feel so blessed to have found her, to have met her. And, the Awesome Life podcast is for women in transition to help you be inspired, grow, know that there is life continuing always, and it can be absolutely awesome. So Elle is a beautiful, magnificent, awesome guest. She is a limiting belief abolitionist. Don't you love it? I love it. And I think that's why we're kind of connected, because I'm of the self-doubt eliminator, and you are the limiting belief abolitionist. I love it. She's an author, and she actually works in the fitness realm and the wellness realm quite a little bit to create happy and healthy lives every single day. And she is the founder of Truespeak.us. And Truespeak is letting you know that the truth is within you. So welcome, Elle. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. And thank you for that grand introduction. It's always so interesting when you hear other people speak your story, right? Whereas sometimes it's like, yeah, I wrote a book. But when other people,
it's, c'est la vie, but it is, it's kind of, it's really, really special. And so, Elle, full disclosure, as you know, I always speak to my guests prior to a podcast, because we have to be on the same energy, the same thought process. I want to make sure that all of my awesome guests truly are living their awesomeness, being authentic to themselves, and can share the inspiration for transforming their lives. And we all transition every day. Absolutely. There's a new opportunity for growth every day. And when we grow, we transition a little bit. But Elle, you were telling me about 3 major transitions that you went through. And tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of triads and trinities. And even though I've recently overcome that 3rd transition, I know it's definitely not the end. It's part of why we're alive, is to have these experiences. And then, like you and I were chatting about earlier, it's about how you navigate them. Mm-hmm. Is what it's really about. That's the journey, the navigation, right? And then you just keep moving on and on. So I grew up in poverty in a trailer park with all the abuses, right? Domestic, sexual, physical, drug and alcohol were just prevalent in the trailer park and in my own home. And so I knew that I needed to get out. I just didn't know how, because there was no money. There was no way I could go to college. There was no money. You know what I mean? It was a lie, cheat, steal kind of environment. Yet somehow, divine inspiration found a way for me to go to college. And because I wasn't smart enough to get anything, and I love sports, but I wasn't great enough to get sports scholarships and such. So found this small college and was able to get out of the trailer park. And I was the first one to leave, and even the first one in my family to go to college and get a degree. And I got far enough away to where I could break the cycle by getting out, right? I got far enough away. So not so far that I was scared and felt alone, but far enough away where I couldn't just come home on the weekends.
You're changing your environment. And when we
Yes.
change our environment, our life changes. That's the E in awesome. The first E is changing your environment. Yeah.
Yes. And you don't realize, well, so I'm 20, right? 18 to
Mm.
20 years old. And you don't know that then,
No.
but you do know the feeling of taking an action. And I literally got to reinvent myself. Nobody knew I was poor. Nobody had all these old high school labels on me, you know. So I got to totally reinvent myself. The way I dressed, the way I styled my hair, like everything. I got a fresh start, and it felt great to get out of the trailer park. And then that's when I discovered all the self-help stuff. So back in the day, it was Earl Nightingale and Zig Ziglar, you know, and the Dale Carnegie stuff. And at some point in time, so this was my transition, Karen. I don't exactly know when or how, but there was a day when my brain was like, you're in charge. You have power. So I used to blame the trailer park, the government, right? Poverty, being a woman, being a minority, like used to be able to blame all these things for why I didn't have what I had. And then one day my brain just told me, you make the decisions, you do the actions, like grab that power, woman, and embrace it and run with it. So once I learned that, my brain was like, and I was now a second whole new person, a person without limits and limitations. And the sky was the limit. I could do whatever I wanted. And mostly my family, the family that I continue to stay in touch with, very supportive for my entire life. I'm so grateful for my family. We all love and appreciate each other. And so then that was that. That's when I started Truespeak, started the foundation of Truespeak. And the catchphrase is, say what you want, the truth is in you, because I believe we all have this radiant light that our beautiful temple houses. That's why I was in the fitness industry forever. COVID killed all that, but but I had a good run at 35 years.
Wow, that's
and wrote
great.
a couple books about it. And so that was, so then the second transition was ending a 24-year marriage.
Oh, wow.
with 2 children. And it was something that in hindsight, I believe I coulda, woulda, shoulda done it differently, honestly, but you don't know that when you're in the thick of it, you know. And we've been separated and divorced now for, you know, I don't know, 18 years or more. And so that divorce in my mind had to happen, because I was in more of like an emotionally abusive relationship, not a physically abusive one. But I was starting to see it transition into the kids. And then I just thought the kids are going to grow up and I'm going to be stuck with this person. So just very abruptly ended a marriage after 24 years. Wow. And everyone thought I was crazy. Well, the people who really were behind the curtain understood the process, but it's extremely challenging on children. Divorce is devastating on children for the most part. And so that's the part when I look back, I feel like I could have, would have, should have nurtured that better. Yet at the same time, because I already told you that I'm in charge, I realized that being guilty about the shoulda, woulda, coulda and beating myself up doesn't serve me today, doesn't serve me tomorrow.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. When we hang on to that, or we hang on to the blame, that makes it a lot easier, right? We can blame others for everything and just walk away like, okay, I'm fine. No, you're not. No, you're not. It's all inside of us. And we are the ones that need to change the world around us. And that's what you did. And the should have, could have, would have, it is hardest on children in that particular case. There's no question. And I am just so grateful. I never knew this until basically recently. One of my guests is a woman who has written numerous books about how to take care of the children through divorce, so the children are not impacted as negatively as they might be, especially if it's a messy divorce. So I'm so glad that maybe it's because of COVID, we're all on the net now, and it's not that warm and fuzzy and fulfilling, perhaps, but it is a great resource for those that are looking.
Absolutely.
And,
yeah.
And so you got through that on your own work and without any assistance. So it can be done, guys. It can be done. But it's much nicer if you can reach out to people like Elle or my other guests, or myself. I've not been divorced, so don't reach out to me for that. But anyway.
Yeah, it's a process. And of course, everybody's is different.
Yeah.
But divorce is the same thing as a death.
It is.
It really, you have to go through the stages of grief and healing, to find yourself. And luckily for me, during that process, during that 24-year marriage, I met Dr. Libby Adams, who's the founder of the International Academy of Self-Knowledge. And I started doing the work that I do now, the Transformational Meditation. I got certified in NLP and negotiation and personality type predictors. So I really, and then I started doing self-study into neuroscience, which is how we keep those memories and those thoughts they run amok in there, and they keep refiring and staying strong. And there's a way to go in there and cut those pathways and, forge them into something that's more valuable. So it was that work that helped me survive the divorce, because there was a lot of name calling. There was a lot of, I was ostracized. There was a lot of really horrible things that went on. And I'm not going to say like I didn't deserve it, but I will say that that's what we were talking about. It's how you navigate the storm.
Yeah. And
I use the tools that I had been training with, because a lot of times we learn things and then we don't ever use them. We know how to do something and we just choose not to, because it goes back to blame and ease, right? If it's not fast and easy, or it could be somebody else's fault, let's go that way first.
Or you don't know where to reach out to that can give you the support that you need.
Mm-hmm. That was true for me, because all my girlfriends were still married. And but I have my family who kind of understood what was going on. So I did have people to talk to. But again, I'm an avid reader. That's why I'm a writer. And there were a lot of books and, articles and, therapy and counseling and all of that kind of stuff. So we can get through it. But when we're in the thick of it at that moment, we can feel hopeless. And I remember just praying, can I just see around the corner a little bit? Like, you don't have to show me that it's all going to be rainbows and butterflies, but can you show me that the darkness will lift? And no, the only way you can get around the corner is to keep moving, keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep being grateful, keep letting go of those things not serving you. And then one day you're like, oh, there it is.
Isn't it amazing how that happens, Elle? That is just so amazing how that can happen. But you do have to be open to it. You do need to recognize and be willing to look at and explore and I'm not saying go down into the depths and cry your eyes out every day and beat yourself up. That's not what it's about. It is for recognizing and seeing what may be going on. A similar, I went down into the depths not too long ago and, just wanted to give it all up, just go out into the woods, call it it. And I thought, that's not me. That's not me. So what else is going on? And guess what? It was as simple, and you can relate to this, not that you've experienced it, but you can relate to it from your wellness part. I had been eating nothing but sugar for 3 days.
Nice crash.
It was not good. And I could feel my energy going down, even though the sugar was there. It was I didn't know I was addicted to sugar until this holiday season. But it was as soon as I cut out that sugar, my whole attitude and thought process and clarification and reasonability returned. But you do need to look at that big picture. And I'm sure with your work, with your wellness and the neural pathways that are together, the neuroscience.
It's amazing how much we have running behind the curtain. And what's even more fascinating is when I do this work, a lot of times when we're talking about these voices, right, that are saying, don't do that, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not whatever. And when I do the work with people, sometimes I'll ask that voice, I'll say, well, what year is it? And it'll say like 1972.
Oh, wow.
So this part was created because something happened and we got traumatized. And so this part gets created. So like for me in high school, one time I got called up to the board to do the math, and math's not my strong suit anyway. And it was algebra, which I was failing. And I have no idea why I got called up. And so when I walked up, my skirt was tucked, my dress was tucked up. And so luckily we wore slips back in the day. I'm dating myself. And so my slip was down, right? But still, so people were snickering, and I didn't do the thing well. And I just remember it was this horrible experience. And so a part gets created like, don't show up, don't get in the front of the class, don't, because you'll be humiliated and embarrassed. And then that keeps us decades down the line, not showing up, not raising our hand, not being a front row student, not be willing to go to the board and learn some new things. So that's what happens. And what's even more fascinating, regardless of if you have opinions about past life experiences or not, but sometimes when I'll say to the part, what year is it? It will say it's a year before the person was born. And so my take on that is, with my research in neuroscience, is that's generational trauma. So it was with your great grandmother, and then she brought that to your mom, and then your mom brought that to you. And it's all unknowing. We're not trying to torture each other. There's never a day when a parent lays in bed at night and says, how can I screw up my kid emotionally tomorrow?
I hope not.
No, right. Yes. And so those parts, they still try to protect us. They're keeping us from harm and disgrace. But what they're really doing is they're dimming our light, and they're not allowing us to shine our brightness and our gifts and talents with the world. That's the truth.
And that's where the Truespeak comes out, is recognizing that and being able to shine it. And let me ask you, there you were up at the board. Now you have all of this information, you have the memories, you know exactly what was going on, and it had nothing to do with your math skills or your intelligence or anything else. It was an embarrassing thing, and you've learned what to do about it. Always check your dress before you go out there if you're wearing a dress. But some of those nagging things stay with you, even though logically you can see it. Absolutely, you can do the work, but they keep you stuck. Why do you suppose that is, Elle?
It's because we can, in my experience with having been doing this over 25 years, so we have our conscious mind, our ego, and it's the one that makes all the decisions for us with our prescription, right? So if I handed you my glasses, you'd be totally screwed, because you'd just be like, so these are amazing for me, right? So those voices are our prescription, how we were fed life, how it was modeled for us, how to handle those situations. So if nobody modeled them for us, then we had to figure it out on our own. So those voices stay there until you learn the lesson that they bring, learn how to manage it, and then learn how to overcome it. And that's why you've got to get in there and get connected with your true source that knows your truth, and bring these parts out into the light and allow them to say their piece. because a lot of times they are, most of the time they think they're helping you, and then let them know that this is the situation now, you know, like I'm a grown, successful woman, and what you're doing for me is actually hurting me. And so when you have those dialogues with these parts, they either want to be part of the good, they're like, I didn't know that, or they're just still like, you know, you don't know, I've been living with you your entire life, you're a loser, trust me. Those parts need to go.
Yeah.
Like if there's any part of you, it needs to go. So that was a long answer too. I think it's because when we have those parts that remain, even though we're aware of them, it's because we haven't learned their origin and the lesson. So once we can clear that, then we can talk about stuff like it's nothing, you know, all the abuse that I endured as a child. I can just tell those stories because I processed the emotions and the whys and cut the tethers of blame. So they just are what is, right? And definitely I learned a lot of things from it as well that I wouldn't have learned otherwise.
You can almost say thank you, because I wouldn't have known it otherwise. So thank you so much for those experiences, although they were horrible, absolutely inhumane, but I have learned from them, and I am a better person because I experienced that.
Mm-hmm. I joke around that one of the things I learned growing up poor is that, did you know that you could change a lunch meat, bologna, into a dinner meat by frying it?
Exactly. We did that a lot. We did that a lot. Absolutely. Oh, golly. But yeah, it's basically how you look at it. And I know I have a lot of those conversations with ego, or I call it Amy because it's in the amygdala. So
Mm-hmm.
just say, hey, all right, Amy, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. You're telling me I can't do it. I've known you your whole life and you can't do it. And guess what? I am doing it a little bit at a time. Yes. And if you're not going to help, step to the left. I don't need you. I will find my own way.
Yeah, that's claiming that power that I talked about. When we
Yeah.
stand in our power, yeah, those little voices don't stand a chance.
And they don't. They immediately leave. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is so simple. Why didn't I do this 100 years ago?
And you know that you say that reminds me of, you know, having those tools and using them, because we can know so much, but if we're not doing it, you know, so like, say, for example, if you get some bad news or, you know, something, and, you know, you owe more taxes than you thought. So some people's first go-to is like to self-medicate. Like, I want to get rid of that pain, you know, so they want to drink or whatever. But that doesn't solve the problem. So when we have the tools of like, okay, this was upsetting information, what do I need to learn from it? Or what's the lesson here? And how can I bring that forward? And then we've got to remember that we learn these things and use them. So my third huge transition was shortly after my divorce. I met an amazing man, and we were together for 10 years. And he was wonderful. I always paint this wonderful picture. And, but then I feel like I need to say, because perfection is, I don't know, it's a mix.
There's no such thing as perfection.
Yes. And so this man was amazing and couldn't keep a job. So there you go.
There you go.
I made enough money, and he was amazing. He was the Martha Stewart, cooking, cleaning, move the furniture, new fresh flowers all the time, told me I love you every day. And so after 10 years of being together, because neither one of us wanted to be remarried, we had both been divorced and have older children, I started getting nostalgic for wanting to call him my husband. And I wanted to wear a ring, and I just wanted to be married, what that meant in my mind, right? Not the legal paperwork kind of thing. So we had a little ceremony. We decided on a special date, 11/11, and everything was wonderful. And then on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, he passed away from an aneurysm. So we were married, we were together for 10 years, but we were married for just 14 days.
Wow, Elle, Oh, wow.
And aneurysms, for people who know, if you don't, it basically, in a nutshell, the recovery rate is extremely low. And you wake up one day and you're just not feeling right. And then you go to the hospital, and by the time the blood starts bleeding out in the brain, there's not a lot they can do. And so woke up on Saturday morning, he didn't look good. He was kind of sweaty and pasty, and we were going about our day. And then he told me, get me to that fire station right there, hit the button on the door and they'll come out. They took him immediately to emergency. I followed, and within 24 hours, he was gone.
Oh, wow.
It happened that fast.
Yeah.
And we had been making plans over all these years. We were going to open a bed and breakfast on the Big Island of Hawaii. He was going to do all the cooking, Martha Stewart, chocolate on the bed stuff. And then I would lead everybody in the workshops and the hikes and all that kind of stuff. And then that just ended when he died. Just gone. Like, it's not like I could just hire somebody to be him. So then I flailed, for a while. And then this goes again back to what I was saying a few moments ago. I remembered all the tools that I have. And the big three that I help people with, it's like, what do you want? How are you going to get there? And who can help you? And so I realized that I needed to get back to just Truespeak, reinvent myself. And the way that I work with people and approach people, obviously a lot of Zoom now, which is cool because I have global clients. But remembering the tools, I was like, I have so many ways to help myself stop flailing. You don't have to flail if you don't want to. You can use the tools you have, and then you can hire somebody who has those tools and can teach you how to use them.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And I bounced back, and now I live in Mazatlan, Mexico, half a block from the beach. Prior to that, I lived in Honolulu, Hawaii. Prior to that, I lived in Huntington Beach, California. So my life has been very blessed. It's been awesome. It's been amazing. And I've had a lot of kicks in the gut. I've definitely been taken down a few times.
So mixing the blessings and knowing how to restore yourself from the things that take you down. Mm-hmm. And I think I was given this in a thought. It isn't how you are taken down. It isn't your fault how you're taken down. It's to relish the fact that you are bouncing back much faster. It isn't what you're doing here at this moment in time, but it's how long are you willing to stay in that state, and how quickly, through the tools that you are suggesting, will help you bounce back a lot faster. Because isn't it a whole lot nicer to feel good?
Yes.
But without that polarity of feeling good and the horribleness that is reality. Let's not sugarcoat it. There is a lot of horribleness out there. But if you insist on only looking at the horribleness, that's not living.
No. Yeah, you get more of what you look at. That's why in divorce, like, one simple tip that I would give people would be to start looking more about that person that you liked, because at one point in time you were in love, and that there still are aspects of the relationship that are valuable. And if you would focus more on the value, that will expand. When you become mono-focused on everything that's wrong, that expands. And once that expands, then divorce is, imminent, because all you can see is all the reasons not to stay. You haven't found a way to find all the things that are good and that are still good, but maybe you're taking them for granted because it's been a while.
This is true. And it's interesting too, what you think about quite often shows up. If you think about it and then just let it go, mm-hmm. and then it just shows up. And it's such a I can't tell you how many times I look around and say, I was just wishing for that. It hasn't been here in the last 50 years, and I'm wishing for that. And here it is. How did that happen?
Yes, I love that, because, and it's the neuroscience thing that we are energetically vibrational, right? We have an electrical current that goes through us. So when we think about certain things, we tune into that. I'm being old school again. We tune into that radio station.
That frequency on the radio station. Yeah.
Be it horrible, lame, poor me station, or be it the awesome life radio station. And it's from the thoughts. What do you want? Having the expectations, having the faith when everything looks hopeless is really where you make the biggest transitional breakthroughs that stay with you forever. Having faith, like, I know it's not always going to be this way. I know that I can get through this. I have people that love me. That faith to keep showing up in the face of adversity makes you so strong, and then makes those lessons, like you said earlier, valuable, and they frame who you are, and you're stronger and smarter going forward. Definitely.
Oh, and you are such an inspiration that way. I mean, honestly, and what you have given to the world through your books and through your wisdom and of course the tools. The toolbox is a very marvelous thing to have. So definitely reach out to Ell for that. Yeah.
I don't know how we are on time. Do you want to do a little 3-minute practice of the work?
Oh, sure. Sure. That would be fun. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So obviously, if you're driving, you have to really listen to this when you get home.
But no driving or operating heavy equipment while you're listening to this.
Yes. Because the first thing we do is align our spine so we can sit taller and prouder, because when we do that, our natural energy can flow easier to us and through us. Whereas when we're hunched, the effort and things get blocked off, right? So good, open the chest so it's easier to breathe. And then the second thing is to close our eyes. And when we close our eyes, we minimize external distractions so that it's easier to begin to focus on the breath. And so if you would begin to do that now, what it feels like, the sensation of breathing deeply and fully, whatever feels comfortable for you, whatever process, mouth open, mouth closed, the nose, just really, how does it feel when the air is going in? How does it feel when it's going out? And then as we keep breathing deep and full, remember that we can go without food and water for several days, but we can't go without the breath for more than a few moments. The breath in brings all the love and light that's ours by divine right and abundance. And the exhalation allows us to just go a little deeper and slower, which allows us to be centered here and now. So let's begin just 3 rounds of the domino breathing with your eyes closed. Really feel the air. Breathing in deeply, 4, 3, 2, and then exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then just relax. And again, breathing in deeply, the love and light in 4, 3, 2, and exhaling, allowing yourself to feel centered here and now, 3, 2, 1. And then just one more round in deeply, 4, 3, 2, and exhaling, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And then just relax for a moment and just allow this peace to permeate all the cells in your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. And just give a moment of gratitude that you are literally a walking, talking, breathing miracle. And so then if you would now just turn your hands over so that they're palms up. And in one hand, bring out the image that is your true source, your higher power, your God light. And regardless of what the image looks like, it's just for the conversation for today. Allow its unconditional love for you to flow to you and through you in this moment. And then in the other hand, bring out what represents you today. in the other hand. And regardless of how you may look, shape, form, color, however, feeling, cast your eyes onto your true source there for just a moment and allow the love to connect again. And then ask your true source, your higher power, your God light, what is my message for today? I'm listening. And as you receive the message, allow your hands to come together so you're no longer separated from this knowing. And if you like the message, then thank your true source, your higher power, your God light. If you didn't like the message, it might have been your ego pretending to be your true source. So just toss that message out to the curb so that you can go back inside, bringing the love and light. So just imagine you traveling back in with this unconditional love and this message. And then just tell your body, thank you, I love you. And then when that feels good and complete for you, go ahead and open your eyes, taking all the time you need, and come on back.
Wow.
And how you
Wow.
feel?
Ell, that was wonderful.
Yay.
That was so wonderful. Such peace and calm. And I love the permission to let go of anything that is not lifting you up.
Mhm.
Because in truth, and it is true, not just me, but it's a universal truth that if it isn't feeling good, it's not yours.
Yes. Yes. It's like, you know, when you go walking and you get those stickers on your pants, when you get into nature, you get those little burrs that you
Oh,
bring
yeah.
home.
Yeah.
They're like that, right? They're not you. You pick them up on the journey, but they don't define you and they're not in charge and they just need to be released. Yeah.
I love that. What a great analogy. And thank you so much for that beautiful guided inspiration.
What I help people do is some people, the way their brain works, sometimes they don't get a message. Sometimes they don't get an image. Sometimes they get a message, but they want to unpack it and get more, right? And so that's what, I use the NLP, and all my years of coaching and all of that to figure out what's your plan, how are you going to get there, who can help you. And then when these little stickers try to ruin your picnic, then we go in and have the conversations with them so that they can either get on board and come to 2023, or they just need to go. They're antiquated and not serving you. So that's what lights me up. These people that get these ahas, right? And then they can move more freely into the future and into their truth. Yeah, those are my wins. It's fun.
Oh, that is so great. So how can people find you?
So good question. Because we just did like a little mini version.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any questions, like you want to share your message, you didn't get a message, you want to unpack the message, then the best way is to put, just text me. I'd like to chat. And we'll put that number in the notes because now my brain, after a meditation, numbers elude.
Let's see. The number you gave me was 808-201-1140, 1140.
Right.
And so just text you, let's chat. Oh,
Yes.
that's great. And honestly, for me, it's like, wow, Karen, what happened to you? I respond faster to texts now than to emails. Sometimes I don't even see my email for a day and a half. So a text is a great way to reach out. And it also shows that you would like that extra guidance from Ell. So
yeah, and I do it for free because until you really understand the process, it's not serving you. And I'm here to serve. And so when I first meet people, always the first times that we spend together is always going to be complimentary. Well, we figure out, right, the relationship and the plan and the direction. So I don't like leaving people out there flailing with a message that they don't know what their first action step is.
That
right?
is fantastic. That is fantastic. And can they find you on the internet? Truespeak is available.
I do tell people, so truespeak.us. So that's the part to remember. So truespeak.us. And then also my most recent book, The Team Whisperer. Right now I have a free digital download page. So if you'd like a digital download, it's not Kindle, it's the digital version of the book. So it's for entry-level and beginning managers that want to raise, you know, their ability to be a manager that makes people want to show up for work, right? Because they love the leadership. So it's a leadership. But that's theteamwhisperer.us. So if you go to theteamwhisperer.us, then you'll get the digital version of this.
Fantastic. Fantastic. The Team Whisperer, TEAM Whisperer.us. Truespeak.us.
Yeah, so the teamwhisperer.us will take you right to that digital download, and truespeak.us, I'm telling people there's all kinds of stuff there. So just go and have fun.
I love it. I love it. Well,
Look around.
as you can hear, and come over to Conversations on YouTube and see this beautiful woman. She is amazing. And as you can hear, she is filled with the energy and the truth that is yours, and can help bring that out in a major way. And honestly, that is what our listeners are looking for, is to find their purpose, their truth, and do it in a way that is transformational. And Ell Graniel, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Ell Graniel. You know me, guys. Last night, I knew I had to mess it up at some point. Because
it's challenging. It's challenging, so definitely you get credit.
Not that challenging, but you would have really stood out and felt lonely if I hadn't messed up your last name, because I do that for everybody.
Thank you for including me.
So until next time, have an awesome life, and do reach out to Elle, because she is absolutely amazing. And I will have all this information in the show notes. So leave a comment, subscribe, like, and share this podcast with those that can use the help in transforming their lives to have an awesome life. So until next time, be awesome.